think building collaboration is about bringing people together to build a better mousetrap. But my son taught me that building healthier communities requires vision and collaboration. For people who know me, I'm early for everything in life. I'm early to work, I'm early to meet with a friend, I'm early to meetings, I'm even early for my alarm clock. Knowing that, you can appreciate the dilemma I was facing when I was running late to take my son to childcare. So I did the only logical thing a panicking dad would do. I started screaming for my son to get dressed while I ran around the house finishing up some last-minute tasks. I remember yelling in a loud, stern voice, "Ben, we're leaving in 5 minutes." A few moments later, "Ben, we're leaving in 3 minutes." Hurrying to pick up the pace, I remember one final warning, "Ben, we're leaving in 1 minute." Now, you remember I told you how this story is about my son taught me how it takes community and people to make change, right? Well, here it comes. I turned the corner, rushing down the hallway, only to meet my son as he's standing there just in his superhero underwear. I look down at my son, I start tapping on my watch. I'm like, "Ben, what are you doing? We have to go, I'm late." My son looked up to me in that soft voice and he just said, "Dad, it's superhero day and I need to wear my Batman t-shirt." "Ben, your Batman t-shirt, I'm running late, we gotta go." "Dad, all my friends are counting on me to wear that Batman t-shirt today." "Ben, we don't have time, I'm running late, we gotta go." "Dad, I need to wear my Batman t-shirt." So I pulled up my trump card, I laid it down with authority, and I looked at him and I just said, "Ben, it's a short sleeve shirt. It's the middle of winter. I put it in the attic. We gotta go." And he just looked at me. He took a big swallow of confidence. And in that soft voice again, he just said, "Dad, if you get down my Batman t-shirt, I'll be really proud of you." You see, my son opened my heart more skillfully than a surgeon that day. He taught me the importance of what it means to have community surrounding family. Matter of fact, he walked into childcare that day, the proudest superhero ready to take on the world. What I learned was how many times my wife and I would tell our son how proud we were of the things he did. As a matter of fact, we soon realized how many other people, like grandparents, teachers, coaches, or friends, would also tell our son how proud they were of the things he would do. It was that community that made the investment to help our son to be the best person. This is exactly how collaboration is supposed to work. People and organizations coming together for the greater good. When we look back on some of the greatest collaborations in modern history, there's a recipe for success. When Thomas Edison wanted to illuminate every house in America with a device called the light bulb, he used this recipe. When President Kennedy challenged the United States to put a man on the moon, he used this recipe. NASA used this recipe to bring back 3 astronauts from Apollo 13. In the mid-1980s, the International Service Organization called Rotary took on the audacious goal of eradicating the world of polio. And nearly 35 years later, they've accomplished that goal. In none of the cases did they focus on the squeaky wheel. It started with a dream, a big dream, and 4 simple ingredients. If you care enough about your community to share your ideas with other people and laugh along the way, you'll be ready to take a dare to make a difference in the community you live. Let me say that again. You need to care, share, laugh, and dare. The first ingredient is caring. Not everybody's going to agree with your idea, and in many cases, people will actually shut your ideas down. But when you can align your passion with your vision, it creates a caring motivation that will get you all the way to the end. You will not stop short of accomplishing your goal. I imagine when Thomas Edison sat in a room of his colleagues explaining his vision for illuminating every house in America with the light bulb, he was probably riddled with bullet holes from naysayers. I can imagine them saying things like, "And just how do you think we're going to get all this electricity to every house in America?" Or, Who's going to run the miles upon miles of wiring to make this possible? If Edison didn't believe in his vision, he would have stopped the conversation right then and there. But instead, he would stop at nothing because it aligns with what he believed in. To invent things that will move society forward for the better. So here's step one. Without the caring ingredient, you won't find the mental fortitude to stick with your idea and see it to the end. The second ingredient is sharing. If your challenge will benefit your community, then your success will be dependent on other people. If your goal can be accomplished all by yourself, then in almost every case, your dream or vision wasn't big enough. We need to share our dreams and our visions in order to solve complex problems so that other people want to get on board. Many of us in this room have seen the movie Apollo 13. Every member of NASA had full buy-in to the project to make sure that no American would be lost in space. Failure is not an option. We have to share conversations in order to solve complex problems so other people are willing to get on board. 12 years ago, I had a vision for what it would be like to build a more supportive, collaborative community. But I knew in order to accomplish my goal, I knew the organization I was in charge of was going to need more partners. So I embarked on endless conversations with other nonprofits, community leaders. I started to talk to donors. I knew it was going to take us millions of dollars in financial capital to accomplish our goal. Over the next 4 years, I implemented the first two ingredients of this recipe, which was caring and sharing, in order to accomplish our goal of community collaboration. You see, growing up, I watched a mother struggle to keep things together. In my adult life, I am so passionate about building communities that strengthen all families and do things like breaking the bonds of generational poverty. I'm willing to go out and have conversations with anybody who will listen to how I think we can work together to solve complex issues. I'm willing to ask people, how do we strengthen our community from the inside out? I started to ask questions like, what if? What if the physical center of our community was the place that the most resources and programs were available for families in need? How would that impact issues like limited transportation, inadequate financial resources, poor food options? What if we brought together two national nonprofit organizations who historically competed on a local and national level for funding and made them partners? What if this partnership collaborated rather than competed for family participation in the programs that we provided? What if this partnership played on the collective strengths of both those organizations? What if we're able to build a whole new collaborative business model to solve community issues? What I learned in that process was so many other people had the same idea. It wasn't until we started to share it that they wanted to get on board. So the third ingredient is laughter. This third ingredient would be considered the glue that holds the dream or vision together. Not only is laughter scientifically proven to reduce stress, boost the immune system, decrease blood pressure, it also promotes creativity. Laughter helps us get through a failure. Laughter humbles us when we're dealing with complex problems, but more importantly, laughter connects us with other people and brings brightness to those darkest hours. I imagine when the emotional roller coaster ride of community collaboration takes us to the highest of highs, it's easy for other people to get on board. But when that ride takes us to the lowest of lows, we need laughter to get back on track. I mentioned earlier that in order to accomplish my vision, I needed to bring together two national nonprofit organizations that didn't always get together very well in the sandbox. I can vividly remember during our project one time that laughter was the only glue that was holding us together. You see, one national organization told the local board and staff to walk away from the project. They told the local chapter that they were going to end up on the losing end of the stick after the situation, after we got to our final end. They told them they were going to get kicked to the curb when the money was raised, creating seeds of doubt in the minds of the organization. The only thing we had to hold us together was laughter. Because we built trust in laughter, we could be vulnerable with each other. In this case, laughter acted as our defense mechanism when outside forces were trying to cast shades of doubt on our vision. You see, our project was so monumental in scope that a lot of people started saying things like, there's no way you're going to get this done. How are you going to get along in the long haul? Not only were we able to accomplish our goal, but we've had organizations from 22 different states come and study our collaborative model. Through the success of seeing how well this went, we've watched communities raise $80 million in just 4 Midwest communities to do the same thing. By studying this same conversation, those communities were able to go back and do this in a third of the time it took us. More importantly, those communities now have programs that are strengthening families. Now, this may make you laugh, but both national nonprofit organizations, yep, both of them, they raise our community collaboration up as the golden standard when other communities call to talk about how do we build these things together. We need laughter because it brings us together. It builds community and it builds trust. So hopefully now you can see when you put the first 3 ingredients together, which is caring, sharing, and laughter, you're going to be ready to add the final ingredient, which is daring. Putting them together, we have care, share, laugh, and dare. I mentioned earlier about Rotary's example of how they took upon and eradicated the world of polio. That's a great example of daring. The motto of a good friend of mine applies not only to the Rotarians example, but also to our community project. He said, it's not about the money, it's about the change. You see, when you're able to cast a vision that not only supports your organizational goals, but meets a true community need, that's where true community partnerships come together and that collaboration happens. People want to belong to a vision, a dream, a cause, not just to an organization. When you focus just on your own organizational needs and don't start working on the community needs, you're going to stop your full potential of being something greater. So I challenge you, find the need, align it with your passion, share your ideas, laugh along the way. Then and only then will you be ready to take a dare to make a difference in someone else's life and in your community. So, what if? What if, in your community, you looked around for collective strengths and resources to build a stronger community? Maybe, in your community, City Council could come together and provide funding to create a seamless walking or biking path to safely get around town and exercise. What if you then talk to local businesses to ask them to provide funding to connect this path together? Maybe to connect it to businesses or to city parks. What if they created a seamless path to things like restaurants, shopping, or attractions? What if you then talk to service organizations to do a little bit? Maybe they could provide funding to see streetlights along the path, or benches, or bike racks. What if they were able to provide funding for trees? What if they could help us write a government grant to provide funding for all the trees? What if we then asked nonprofits and school districts to help plant those trees? But instead of planting trees, we decided to plant edible options like pear trees and apple trees, blueberry bushes and raspberry bushes, creating a layered edible ecosystem called a food forest. What if, in your hometown, your local healthcare provider jumped on board and planted that food forest next to their cancer center to provide a food pharmacy prescription program for their patients? Do you care deeply about your community and strengthening it? Through collaborations, it can be the spark that makes the difference. But it starts with a big vision and 4 simple ingredients: care, share, laugh, and dare. What if you were that person that started that collaboration that strengthened families, in your community. Thank you.